one of I think the first one, or at least the one that I heard early on that stuck with me throughout childhood, was Chuck Norris was walking through the Amazon rainforest, got bit by a poisonous snake, and after 3 long days of excruciating pain, the snake died. Good morning, everybody. Brad Johnson, Jonathan Ritchie here again for another episode of the Texas Bullpen Podcast. Ritchie, how's it going?
It is going splendid. The dirt mountain range on Congress Ave has gone just as quickly as it came.
I'd say R.I.P., but I don't want it to.
No, it
rest
was.
peacefully.
I was honestly surprised how well they got all the dirt off. Like, it was pretty good, pretty impressive. But yeah, South by is, I guess, largely over.
I think last night was closing, so it is
Wow.
done.
Some people suggest it's now closed. Unconfirmed report.
Many people are saying.
Many people are saying it was an interesting time for us. We're not, I guess, cool enough to understand what South by Southwest is, but aside from like a direction.
Even then, it's a pretty confusing direction.
Even then, it is indeed. If you're already going south, west, it's just southwest at that point.
Yes.
So, I don't know.
Well,
These things this is what's taken up a lot of our mind space this past week.
a mystery we'll have to get to the bottom of at another date.
Next year. There's always next year, just like the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. Programming note, we will be off next week. No podcast next week.
No podcast.
I will be in San Diego with my dad watching the opening series for the Detroit Tigers against the San Diego Padres. I'm very excited for that.
That's cool. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. You think I wanted to see you? I specifically wanted a break from seeing your face.
I guess that is the point of vacation.
Yeah. So we will not have a podcast that week. We also won't have a Daily Bowl that Friday. I think we'll still have Scoville on Saturday morning. We'll schedule in advance. So just FYI on that.
And I'm not even persuaded we won't have a Daily Bowl. We very well might. I don't know. Let's see what the news is.
We'll see.
I'm going to force you to write it.
I will
while
be
you're
at the ballpark.
At the ballpark.
Yeah, on Thursday afternoon.
Who are they playing?
I just said this.
Yeah.
Which baseball team resides in San Diego, Richie?
Well, no. Who are they playing?
The Tigers.
Yeah, who are the... Oh, right.
I'm a Tigers fan.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry, you and your...
You and sports just
like,
don't mesh well together.
All these foreign names. Detroit.
Detroit. You should pronounce it Detroit.
Gross.
There's
Get that French stuff out of here.
So Detroit is also known as Hockey Town. Detroit Red Wings are one of the original 6 NHL teams. I know hockey is also foreign to you, but since it was a big theme over the last month or so with the U.S. winning Olympic gold, I think you can stand to listen to a bit of this. But Detroit is one of the greatest NHL teams of all time, one of the greatest programs. They have won, I forget how many Stanley Cups, but a lot. Would you? Anyway,
they're really good.
I'll get to the point,
They're
which
really good
is
at their figure skating.
the longtime announcer for the Red Wings would call Detroit.
Detroit
On all the broadcasts, which
That's
is
good.
just
That's like
hilarious.
the type of mispronunciation I would do. But
Yeah,
very
it's
genuinely.
like the northerner version of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are dozens of us out there.
Also, news broke today that sad news that
Very sad.
Chuck Norris passed away, the Texas icon.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
So
actual
R.I.P. to him. He's a legend.
A lot of the people in Texas politics knew him. He was pretty involved.
Yeah.
I'd met him a couple times at some events back in the day. So
He had been, I think it was either at various points over the last few cycles, he had visited the Capitol and made the rounds there, and of course been brought up to take pictures with the lieutenant governor and the speaker on the diocese. But of course, his legend will live on in the form of Chuck Norris jokes.
yes, a tried and true tradition for young American men.
I think the first one, or at least the one that I heard early on that stuck with me throughout childhood, was Chuck Norris was walking through the Amazon rainforest, got bit by a poisonous snake, and after 3 long days of excruciating pain, the snake died.
It's a good one. They're all just good. Very, very classic. So yeah, very sad to see the news this morning.
It was pretty sudden too. He was checked into the hospital, I think yesterday on Thursday, and then had passed away by Friday morning. So very sad.
Soon.
Yep. R.I.P. to him. But let's get into the slate of topics. I think it's safe to say the biggest story across the state this week was the Cesar Chavez allegations and the report published by the New York Times that then cascaded into a bunch of different political effects in Texas, particularly. Can you run us through the details of this?
Cesar Chavez, obviously kind of a well-known figure in the labor movement, very much a icon for a lot of kind of left-wing activism, a lot of street names after him, a lot of statues, farmers, worker movement, stuff like that. And then this bombshell report came out, which I think can actually you can't actually call this one a bombshell.
Yes.
It's a little overused sometimes, but this one really did send shockwaves of just very credible allegations of sexual harassment, assault, including with minors, throughout his career, including from other major leaders in the movement who had stayed silent for years. And so it was pretty immediate after that. There was very little debate of maybe let's look into this more. Everybody was just like, okay, we're canceling all of the Cesar Chavez Day stuff. We're going to start, I've seen pictures of, not necessarily in Texas, but other places, I think, putting tarps over the statues and stuff. I mean, just an immediate cancelization of this guy who's been a very premier figure in kind of the orthodoxy of labor movement discussion and in memory and history, just being wiped away very quickly.
Well, and obviously he was a huge figure in organized labor, particularly for the United Farm Workers. We learned about Cesar Chavez in school up in Ohio. And so, he was more than just a Texas figure, but it had played largely in Texas,
any
California.
Of the kind of border agricultural states, there was a lot of, I guess, memory of it.
And we saw the governor come out and say the state's not going to observe Cesar Chavez Day anymore. Politically speaking, that's easy for Republicans to come out and condemn a guy they already didn't like, broadly speaking. It's not like they're going out on a limb here. The more interesting side of this, I thought, was first of all the preemptive reactions by labor unions, by including I think the UFW, but other groups as well. They got wind of the New York Times report, which is usually how this goes. When something like this is about to hit, people start reacting, and they got out in front of the report and canceled some marches that are named after him. And then we saw Democratic officials come out and condemn this. Of course, these were some horrific allegations, and if you start in the third paragraph, it's already in full swing, the slate of allegations against him. It starts off in that third paragraph talking about this woman who was 13 when Chavez started summoning her for sexual relations, and which is, as being a minor, rape.
Yeah.
And so it didn't really slow down throughout the entire report. And you can read it on the New York Times. Don't think it's paywalled. So if that is something that you feel the need to read, it's there and available, and you should go read it. But we're going to be seeing the effects of this for a long time. There's Cesar Chavez. Is it Boulevard in Austin? We saw some people listing out all the streets named across the state after Cesar Chavez. All of that's going to get renamed for sure. The Austin City Council's already moving something to do it here in the city. But I'm sure that's happening all over the state. And a lot of this stuff's going to be undone. Also, elementary schools are named after him. So this really rocked, particularly Democratic politics this week. And Republicans has commented as well. We saw you reported in Daily Bowl this morning that the State Board of Education is moving to nix all references in the TEKS to Cesar Chavez. Anything notable about that stuck out to you?
Yeah, I mean, the chairman sent a letter to the Texas Education Commissioner, Mike Morath, instructing him or requesting that he revise, because the social studies curriculum, goes through regular revisions, and so they're in the midst of that right now. And Cesar Chavez was included in those, and so it was after the various work groups collaborate. So it's kind of in one of its more final forms already, and so the chairman was like, hey, we should probably take him out of the social studies curriculum. So I don't think Commissioner Morath has responded to that letter yet, but I would presume that that's probably going to happen. Again, because for Republicans, it's not really any...
There's no political cost.
Yeah, skin off of their back on it.
To condemn somebody they already didn't really like,
exactly.
Generally. So.
But yeah, all of the... I mean, you had Mount come out very early.
Yep. Ramon Romero issued a statement. Well, actually, it wasn't just Ramon. It was the whole executive board, right? And they said they're going to lead the effort to rescind all the Cesar Chavez themed things in the state, including the day of celebration, or the holiday, I guess. The other I think it's worth noting also that a lot of this stuff had been talked about for decades as rumors, as rumors, and if not more substantive rumors. It just had never been all corroborated by so much on the record testimony.
Yeah.
And that was really one of the big things is, was it Huerta? Is that her name? I forget her first name, but she came out and she gave an interview and detailed what Chavez had done to her for years. So this was basically the dam breaking on what everybody in those circles knew had already happened. And a lot of the fallout has been about these people involved in these organizations not explicitly hiding this stuff, but pretty close to it in order to protect the reputation of Chavez himself and the movement. Yep. So
yeah, pretty big national story there. Yep. It is interesting, because people always are trying to read like the eulogy on kind of the institutional national media and things like that. But then you always have one of these big major stories that becomes the rock dropped into the pond that sends the shockwaves across the country. There's still obviously a lot of punch left in those big media establishments, I guess we would say. So It's always fun to see those types of stories and realize that the old dog still got some bite.
Well, yeah, I mean the New York Times is doing very well financially. One of the few media companies, especially large media companies across the country.
New York Times and Texas Bullpen.
Yeah, one and the same.
Hi, everyone. We'd like to thank the sponsor of today's podcast, the Lowy Law Firm. For over 20 years, Adam Lowy has helped injured Texans recover and heal. From car accidents to dog bites, Adam Lowy is there to help and gets results. Go to loweylawfirm.com to find out more and get a free consultation. Adam, of course, is very well known on Twitter for his commentary and observations on Texas politics, so be sure to give him a follow as well. Thanks to our sponsor, the Lowy Law Firm.
Okay, so let's go on to, there were two meetings this week that were of particular interest. One of them we broke entirely here at Texas Bullpen. The other one I don't think I saw any reporting on what was said inside until we said it. So first off, there was what many people are calling #Nerd Summit.
That's what the running name is.
Yeah, and
which is an apt title. Like you look at the list of folks, and it's like,
absolutely, bunch of data guys. So it
bunch
was
of
a
nerds.
It was a gathering of.
When's the Jock Summit?
The Jocks. I think we call that the legislature.
Yeah, probably. Which is sad.
Yeah.
Jocks just ain't what they used to be.
No, certainly not. So the top, or a group of top Republican pollsters, data guys, some consultants gathered in Austin this week. It was Tuesday. And they were gathering in order to basically put all the brains together, assess the situation so that it can be monitored later by all of us.
By us, yeah.
And basically come up with an agreed upon picture for the majority party in the state on what November holds, or what it could hold at the moment. The Republicans in this state, Democratic Party as well, rife with factions that can't stand each other most of the time. And it's hard to get everyone on the same page because you have a clear majority and a clear minority. If you're in a purple state, that causes incentives. That doesn't mean that everyone's singing kumbaya all the time, but that incentivizes the two parties to solidify, because otherwise they'll lose to the other one, right? Yeah. Everyone needs to get on the same page as a party in states like that. Here, that's usually not the case. But with what looks like is coming in November, and this was part of what they were assessing, how bad is this cycle going to be for Republicans in the state, particularly in this case, but across the country generally. And they were putting their presentations together with that in mind, trying to illustrate a picture so that then they can go to all the various consultants, the top state leaders,
factions within the Republican Party, and be like, look, guys, we've got to lock in for November. And, there was a very interesting conversation we had the other day with a gentleman who was explaining, like, if you go back, because everybody's trying to compare this wave to 18 and the beta wave, right? And there's a lot of different comparisons that can be drawn and not drawn about the differences between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, the differences nationally. Obviously this is the midterm of a Trump administration. That 2018 was as well. But one of the things that was highlighted to us was apparently a lot of the Republicans were surprised at how big the backlash was in 18. They kind of weren't expecting it, is what we were told. But they're definitely, everybody's on edge right now in the Republicans. There's a kind of 5-alarm fire going on, and everybody's trying to circle the wagons almost.
I've seen comments here and there on social media, so take it with a grain of salt. It's full of nonsense most of the time. But the sentiment has been populated that, this Democrats are just pining for a blue Texas that'll never happen again, and they'll be crying wolf about the state flipping, and then we'll just get to November and see the Republicans dominate once again, like we've seen over the last few cycles. But if you talk to the guys on the inside, the guys in this meeting, the consultants that are running these campaigns, state leaders, they know this is not good for them. This is going to be a very tough cycle, and there's a chance. How big is it? Who knows? But there's a chance that James Talarico wins that Senate race.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing of people being like, oh, it's just Democrats crying wolf. Well, the whole point of the story is that eventually the wolf comes. Mm-hmm. And is it this cycle, or is it because, there is nothing guaranteed in politics, right? For a better part of a century, people were like, Texas will never go red. And then it did.
Yep.
And then for most people kind of engaged in like politics today, you can't remember a Texas that wasn't red, you know, but things are always able to change.
Things are cyclical. It's just a question of how long those cycles are.
Yeah.
Right. So you can read the full report in Daily Bowl from Wednesday on this, but
This is another time to plug.
Yes.
If you're not a subscriber, you are missing out on these insider meetings, these backdoor discussions, these smoke-filled rooms. At least the rooms that I'm in. Will be
every room you're in
smoke-filled.
is smoke filled.
There's something about tradition. And so please go to texasbullpen.com, subscribe. $200 a year, you get these daily updates. I mean, reporting you don't get anywhere else, and you get to fund our lavish lifestyles.
Yeah.
So,
Reporting from reporters who know ball.
yeah, we know ball. That's what people say. If you go to the reviews of this very podcast, you'll find many people say that we know ball.
Yep.
Just not sports ball. At least I don't.
No, you certainly do not. But
we could talk boxing or golf. I know golf.
Okay. You're a big boxing guy?
I like boxing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like doing the boxing, but I do appreciate the sport from a distance,
Fair
from a
enough.
very safe distance.
So in this meeting, you had representatives of Greg Abbott's campaign, Speaker Burrow's campaign, multiple or a couple other consulting firms, and then a bunch of pollsters like Chris Perkins, Ross Hunt, Derek Ryan, data guy, Mike Basilis, lieutenant governor's pollster, was there. And then you had a handful of national firms that we see poll or provide data services a lot in this state. So it was really a meeting of the minds on the Republican side. And what they're going to do from here is take this assessment and bring it to all the factions, like you said, and say, hey, let's get on the same page. This is what we're expecting.
Yeah. What was the general feeling walking out of that meeting? Did people think that it was a success?
Yes, absolutely. And first of all, the point was made to me that this was the earliest and biggest such meeting in a cycle that Republicans have had in a long time.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show how serious everyone's taking this. Not just because they take it seriously doesn't mean they don't get shellacked in November. That could happen. And they all know that. You know, they know they're walking into a tenuous situation here. So the feeling was good walking out, at least on the fact that they're all taking this seriously. Some interesting data points, though, that were shared in this meeting. One of the pollsters made a comparison, was asked for a comparison of another cycle that this is starting to look like. And the comparison that was said was 2006. And that was when, that was a midterm with a Republican president, George Bush. And Republicans lost, I believe, 5 seats in the Texas House and 2 seats in Congress, I believe. A scenario that very well could be replicated this cycle based on the way the chessboard's looking right now. Long way to go. A lot of things can change. Republicans, maybe they find a messaging skeleton key that allows them to turn the tide on this. But right now, 2006 is the comparison that's being made on the Republican side.
See, how old were you in 2006?
12?
Fast math.
Depends on which month in 2006 we're talking about. But yeah,
Yes, that's fair.
11 or 12, I think.
Ages are always a moving target.
That's true.
Yeah. So not super keyed into Texas politics back then.
Not super keyed into any politics, but
The glory days.
yeah, I know, right?
Would only we could go back sometimes.
I was more focused on playing Call of Duty all the time, and
Wow.
Yeah.
Nerd.
yeah, I played sports, so I
Yeah.
wasn't totally a nerd,
Yeah.
just mostly a nerd. A couple other data points that stuck out. So this was really shocking to me. So it's not exit polling, but a poll had been done after the election on the SD9 special election.
Yeah. Which was one of the biggest, earliest shockwaves
Yes.
that, like, really, I think, threw cold water on Republicans.
And it was a bellwether.
Yeah.
The question is, bellwether for what exactly? It was a bellwether for the difficult cycle that Republicans will have. That does not mean the Democrats are going to win the state. That does not mean Republicans are going to skate by without losing any seats.
First blood.
But it shows the enthusiasm Democratic voters have. I think we saw that play out as well in the primary with the turnout levels there. But it also highlighted the suburbs problem Republicans have. And one consultant told me that the suburb problem started in 2018. There's been a lot of ink spilled on that, and how Republicans, particularly with President Trump, lost a lot of ground they used to have as a stronghold in the state's suburban areas, and particularly among suburban whites. And this consultant told me, we haven't solved that problem. We've only papered over it in the years since. And a lot of the ways they've papered over that is by extending their gains in among Hispanics that have then canceled out some of the losses. But if you see, just based on pure 30,000 foot level arithmetic, if you see the Hispanic population, those gains made among Republicans over the last few cycles recede, and then you still have that problem in the suburbs, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're going to have a really tough year. And that's what they're looking at right now. So in that Remit race, Remit versus Wamsgans, self-described 2024 Trump voters in that special election went for Remit 51% to 49%. That's
which is not a good number
astounding.
For Republicans.
No, it is absolutely not. And I mean that should be a pretty clear victory for among that percentage, among that demographic for Republicans. And it's not even just not a clear victory. It's a loss. It's a narrow loss among that demographic. So there's that. The other one that stuck out to me most, and this was flagged by a couple different consultants to me. Among the primary turnout, 30% of Democratic primary voters this time were general election only histories. Why is that important? If you, as a one side or the other, bank a general election only voter in a primary, the odds are near guaranteed that you're going to have that person's vote, your candidate will, in November. You're getting them to buy in early and pick a side early versus what they normally do, which is wait until the last minute, go in and pull the lever for one side or the other with these general election only voters. But 30% of the Democratic primary turnout were general election only voters. Compare that to 10% of the Republican primary turnout that were GE only voters. That's a huge difference. Huge difference. Particularly when we're talking the sheer number of Democratic voters who turned out versus Republicans. And there were more Democratic primary voters this time. I think we talked about this last week. More people turned out in the Democratic primary than in the Republican. So just based on early math right there, that's not looking good. Not a good picture for Republicans. Now they're going to have to, the GOP is going to have to find new voters somewhere, somehow. And Democrats will as well. You know, this is still a Republican state, but the conditions are there, and everybody knows it, for a tense situation for the majority party going into November.
Oh,
Anything
man,
you want to add?
You said math and arithmetic and a lot of numbers there.
I could see your eyes glazing
Yeah,
over.
did you start seeing me get a little scared?
Yes.
A little frantic?
Yes. You tried to hide it, but
I was
you
like
couldn't.
really trying to keep up there on like, X part of this percentage is, man, Lord.
I saw you hold back a yawn, too.
Another meeting that happened this week without math.
Yeah, there was that. At least not that I heard.
No math that was readily apparent was that a delegation of number I saw was about 100 or so all people from Texas GOP.
It was most returning Republican legislators of the House and Senate. People that are retiring, from what I was told, did not get an invite. You still had a few Senate and House members who did not make it anyway, who are returning. But the vast majority of them were there. And then there were some non-members in there as well. But it was mostly legislators.
Got invited to go up to D.C. for a day with not President Trump, but just members of his administration. And they have these events for other states all the time. It's just kind of like a, hey, come up, be a part of what we're doing. We're going to talk, discuss strategy, especially, to your point, going into what everybody is expecting to be a tough midterm cycle for Republicans. Some of the big name people that did address the Texas delegation include like HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, the Small Business Administration Administrator, which was a funny administrator. It's like, God, we could have chosen a different name there. Stephen Miller, big figure as well, that spoke to them, and then a bunch of other
former
folks as well.
Texas lawmaker and HUD Secretary Scott Turner was
Scott
among
Turner.
them. And it was called the Texas Leadership Summit. Basically, it was the members of the administration giving presentations and outlining some policy points that they hope to see advanced. I'm sure data centers were talked about. I didn't hear that specifically, but that is something that faces a lot, as we've talked about, a lot of friction here in the state that is a priority of the administration. So policy points there. And I think the biggest thing, which it's not super surprising, but it was actually said, is that the president has not given any word to his staff or advisors on whether he's made a decision on endorsements in the U.S. Senate race runoff and the Attorney General runoff. Now, another interesting part of this was that was told to them, to this gathering of members, and one of the members there gathered was Mays Middleton, who is in the runoff against Chip Roy for Attorney General. Other candidates were there as well, like Don Huffines was there, the GOP nominee for comptroller. But basically, it was like a giant lecture series from these administration officials. And from what I'm told, there was no going in. A lot of people, members had either expected or worried about kind of a back and forth about these endorsements, particularly in the Senate race. That didn't pan out. It was more of just a, hey, this is what we think y'all should do. We appreciate you for backing us to the hilt previously on redistricting, on all other policies. And here's what we're looking at going forward.
Yeah.
So
pretty basic little thing, but it seemed like a fun little trip up to D.C. and back.
Yeah, a lot of people had quite a time. I saw some pictures, particularly going into the reception the previous night on, what would that be, Wednesday in the Capitol. There was a reception for all these members and their families. So a nice little jaunt to D.C. for the Republican delegation in Texas.
So a lot of meetings happening, a lot of times being had, and we're here inside on a beautiful day talking about them.
Well, we're about to go after this to lunch, and then I'm going to go watch March Madness on a patio.
Madness.
We'll see if Richie joins.
What is that? Is that another one of your hockey things?
You know exactly what that is.
I just love rage.
Stop playing
you.
stupid.
It's so fun. I got you so good the other day. What did I say the other day that made you so mad?
I don't remember. What was it?
Oh, I can't remember, but it was really good. It was one of the best ones I've gotten out of you. This should be another competition that we do. It's just like a rage.
I'm already in too deep.
Session.
I'm sure you'll be doing that at the Waffle House challenge.
Yeah, it's
constantly.
Maybe we'll give a prize to whoever can make you the maddest. Whoever comes on.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Anything else we need to hit on those two meetings?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
Let's go to gambling.
Let's go gambling. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us on the podcast. We're gonna
go shoot some craps and. I mean, what's your favorite way to lose money in gambling?
No comment. No, I like classic Texas Hold'em.
Okay.
You know, it's just what you do.
Yeah.
Which
But anyway.
you've never played Texas Hold'em.
Yes, I have.
What were you saying the other day? You had a different game that y'all always played.
Euchre.
Euchre.
It's a great game. 4-person. It's fantastic.
And that's a gambling game?
You can put money on it, yeah. It's not explicitly gambling.
You've never played euchre in a casino or anything.
No, I don't know if they do that.
I don't think they do. Yeah, that's why when I was like, "Oh yeah, we play Texas Hold'em," yeah, well, we play euchre. I go, "What? What type of Yankee?"
You know what rummy is?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. I know what it is. It's not something that I've played.
Anyway,
but anyways,
you wrote on gambling this week. There was quite a bit of development.
Yeah. So last week there was a big raid on one of the largest card houses in Texas. The
Where was it?
Lodge Card House up in Round Rock. And early in the morning, over 24 agents of the Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission, the county sheriff up there, and the IRS raided it, confiscated some things, shut down the card club indefinitely. No charges have been filed yet, but it's a part of an ongoing investigation. The TABC did say that they were looking into the club for money laundering allegations and illegal gambling operations, and some other things as well that were listed in the search warrant affidavit. And this obviously sent major ripple effects amongst the gambling community because card houses specifically have occupied a somewhat nebulous gray area in Texas law. By and large, gambling in Texas is illegal and has been for a long time. Really ever since the late 1800s. And then by the time you get to early 1900s you have these other very big kind of moral pushes. That's where you get prohibition as well. And so Texas clamps down on gambling massively in all of its forms, even up to the point that for a while for a long time they made parimutuel betting at horse tracks illegal. Mm-hmm. They did for a very brief period re-legalize that to get the tax revenue during the Great Depression. But then they made it illegal again. It's come back since then. But by and large, gambling, very, very tenuous position in the kind of loopholes that have been able to be found. And so, even the longest running card house in Texas right now was only opened in 2015. Not because of any change in the law, but because of a push to interpret the law in a certain way. Mm-hmm. So you can have, the argument goes, because even, what I've talked to amongst certain government lawyers is these things are probably not legal, but there's a big disagreement about it, even at the highest rungs of just government. Because the argument goes that you can have a card game in Texas if it's held in a private place. Everybody has, with the exception of skill and chance, the same odds of winning. And the house doesn't make money off of the gambling function itself. So there's not a cut coming out of the pot for whoever is hosting this or gambling or whatever business and stuff. And so in order to abide by these three kind of tenets, these card houses are private membership things. You have to buy a pass, a membership, a day pass, something like that. Some of these places charge fees for seats. So kind of at Topgolf or bowling, you can rent a lane for an hour. You can rent a seat and you have that. But they don't take any part of the winnings or the pot. All that goes to the winner and things of that nature. And so they're, saying this is a private place because it's a private club and we're not taking any part of the winnings. Therefore, it's a legal way of gambling in Texas. But, this raid has certainly caused a lot of uncertainty because there haven't been any charges yet. So it's not exactly sure. There's been accusations of money laundering. The owners of the club or at least one of them has come out and be like, I have no idea what this is about. We still haven't received information. But, this is all just a part of the statewide, I guess, ongoing battle over gambling, betting, casinos. It's a huge undercurrent in Texas politics because millions and millions of dollars every single cycle get pumped into the political operations across the state. You obviously have the Sands Casino operation that has, for several cycles, really tried to move the needle on getting at least some resort casinos approved. It is either had their hopes dashed on the rock every single cycle, but you also have sports betting as well that is making a big push. You did a very good job of peeling back the nesting egg on that operation with DraftKings. DraftKings, which of course the number one, the lead shareholder in that is Houston area business magnate and casino owner Tillman Fertitta. He's the lead shareholder in that. He's also the lead shareholder in Wynn Entertainment. The Wynn is big Vegas establishment as well. And Tillman Fertitta is also currently making a bid or trying to purchase the Caesars Entertainment.
This is really interesting.
And this is big for something like $7 billion. And Fertitta owns the Golden Nuggets casinos out in Louisiana as well. And so there's just this wide kind of net that's being cast, trying to move the needle to make sports betting legal in Texas, casinos. But then at the very same time, you have the crosswinds of like these card houses are getting raided. It's still an open legal question of whether or not they are complying with Texas law at all. Additionally, too, we have the even bigger legal gray area about these prediction markets, Poly Market and Kalshi, which allows people, I mean, just like straight up, it just allows sports betting.
It's an end around.
It's an end around.
Gambling prohibitions.
Yeah, yes. Because you are placing bets, but it's not placing bets. You're like buying a futures contract on a real world eventuality that might or might not happen.
Well, and it's not just sports.
It's anything.
Politics.
Yeah.
Elections.
The elections, all of this stuff.
And in fact, and that brings up the Arizona lawsuit.
Yes.
The state of Arizona just sued Kalshi over various allegations, one of which was violating gambling prohibitions against betting on elections. And Kalshi's whole case, and any time they get challenged on any of this, is that we, Kalshi, are regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, not state law.
Yeah, so that's federally preempted.
Yes.
But I don't think the states are really going to buy that for much longer. And the biggest thing is, it's like this is billions and billions and billions of dollars that are going into this. It's circumventing, and other industries like casinos, like sports betting, are like, why do they get the whole pie and we're left out here like Tiny Tim, just knocking on the glass.
Please, more gruel.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of counter lobbying from them of like, yeah, well, if we're not going to be allowed into it, this shouldn't be allowed either. And I mean, they have these arguments and stuff, but just from a layman's perspective, I'm just a simple boy from East Texas, so this seems like gambling,
Yeah.
My Baptist preacher would have been disappointed. And so...
Well, and to further show how messy this thing is getting, first of all, there was the Poly Market is opening a bar in D.C., a Poly Market bar, where you go and it monitors all the situations that they're allowing betting on.
Yeah.
And I saw a joke on Twitter. It was Polymarket, hey, board member, hey, I have a great idea. How about a sports bar where even less women go to?
Oh, tough. Yeah, and I mean, even at the national level, there's some very real concerns about this because basically the equivalent of insider trading, right? If you know something's happening, especially in D.C., like there's a couple of accounts that I've seen people watching on social media that like have made millions of dollars off of when foreign military intervention is going to happen that the U.S. is involved in. Things like that. And it's like, ooh, this sends up some red flags.
Furthermore, the Major League Baseball announced a partnership, I think, with Polymarket itself, which is insane. Like, I never thought I'd see that, particularly MLB.
Yeah.
And
because, I mean, like, especially in sports, this is the oldest racket in the world of rigging the books and all this
Shoeless
stuff.
Joe Jackson's not in the Hall of Fame because of the Black Sox scandal. You aware of that?
I am, actually.
Wow.
I am.
Really?
Because, it has to do with vices. And it has our resident vice reporter. Gambling, liquor, things of that nature. I'm monitoring those.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of a happenstance that it had to do with sports.
Gotcha. But yeah, like this stuff is getting so entangled, and you add in the fact that what we're seeing in college sports, where this thing is an even bigger moneymaker because of the NIL stuff, and people like Cody Campbell trying to lay out to reform the system in a way that allows things to be sustainable for universities. Well, throw in this betting bomb on all these sports leagues, and it just muddies the water even more. You have the NBA scandal that broke last year or the year before that, where they were betting on that was a card game, but they were also it involved NBA players.
Also have the translator who was placing bets and stuff.
Yeah,
like
for
that.
Ohtani. Yeah, like this stuff is messy as hell.
And then, of course, is it betting? Is it not betting? Is it betting and gambling pursuant to existing law, or does it require new regulation? States are going to start weighing in on it. I mean, I think it will definitely be stuff that gets legislation filed here because it's just begging for it at this point.
They are already working on it.
Yeah.
Especially on Kalshi and that kind of the prediction market side of things. There'd be some pretty notable members lining up behind something to take a whack at Kalshi. And it'll be interesting to see what they do lobby-wise. I haven't seen any lobby registrations yet.
Yeah.
But I know Kalshi's going around and recruiting lobbyists ahead of next session.
And they've definitely been leaning on Texas politicians, at least, that I'm aware of during last session as well. They maybe don't have a formal lobby operation, but they've definitely been having conversations. And they have launched lobby operations in D.C., and I think their play is going to be, again, just going all in on this preemption argument. But as soon as the state passes laws on it, it's going to lead to a lawsuit, and that's probably going to go very high up because it is an open question here. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. I feel like we ought to be kicking ourselves because we should have, we monitor this situation. We could have made a nice chunk of change, but we're not. We're neither one of us are natural gamblers.
No,
I find it very intriguing, but like it's very difficult for me even to, do I have a straight here? Like all these numbers.
You also prefer to spend the money that you do have on booze.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, everybody has their selective vices. That's probably one of mine. Some would say.
Many people are saying.
Some might say that. My other big vice is buying books. I just buy them at a relentless
One of these
pace.
things is unlike the other.
Yes, but I gotta say, it's all money that I don't have anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I just buy books, drink, and look at them from a distance.
This session is going to to be fascinating for many different reasons.
There's so many good little things that are going to pop up.
But a lot of it's going to be determined by what happens in November. For example, in 2018, when Republicans got shellacked, lost a bunch of seats, they moderated.
You like that word today.
And they
You said it
focused
twice.
on...
You said shellac twice.
How many times have you said things of that nature?
Brouhaha was your one. Well, that's like a phrase. It's like you walk in. It's kind of like Sesame Street or whatever. Today's show is brought to you by shellac.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. I'm just, I'm just noticing things.
You're just observing.
I'm just a noticer.
You keep monitoring that situation for us. Anyway, so in 2018, Republicans got shellacked, and then they came back. They moderated for 2019 session, focused on property taxes and school finance. If that happens again, in terms of the election, you can guarantee Republicans will focus more on issues like that. Probably infrastructure will be one. This data center thing is going to be fascinating to watch. But also, a lot of the social issues have been taken care of from a Republican perspective by this point.
Yeah. They've already spiked the football,
yes.
so you got to find another wedge issue.
Yes, and we'll probably see stuff on this Islamic issue be probably the big social issue that's at least
But depending on
attempted
how
to be
well
tagged.
Democrats do, that would be in my list of things the first thing to fall away, because it's really kind of the last big, I guess we could call like red meat social issue that they're.
Oh, I wouldn't. That's a pretty final. Statement.
I know.
There's always something that's
there's always
bubble
something.
up.
But like out of the things that they've been messaging on during the primary, that's the one that has, in my mind, the most like boys and girls sports type of remnant there. Because the other ones, obviously,
abortion's largely off the table. Largely, not entirely, but largely. And
it's these, a lot of the things that we're hearing people talk about that are going to be big issues aren't social issues. It's stuff like, which I guess gambling is a social issue, but it's not the same way as like what these last cycles were in my mind.
Yeah, and immigration will be as well. The Pilar v. Doe case is going to be a theme quite a bit. That's the one that requires the state to pay for the education of children of illegal immigrants. And there's actually, that brings up something that I forgot to mention on the meeting segment of this podcast. So Stephen Miller gets up and in typical Stephen Miller fashion is really like Jonathan Edwards pounding the podium type. One member told me we got yelled at by Stephen Miller, but he was pressing that issue quite a bit.
Yeah.
And whether it's the illegal immigrants in terms of education or healthcare or whatever it is, pressing them to do more on that. And that didn't sit well. A lot of the members in the room were like, we've done so much, and you're now just like, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Also, we're not in session right now. We're not in session till January. But anyway, the point I was getting at with this, with the session talk, was gambling in that that just entire portfolio of issue here, that could take on a social issue flavor, and a lot of its outcome will be determined by how this general election goes.
Well, and you do see, like, at least during the primary, a lot of those heated, contentious ones, that was an attack. That was one of kind of the battle lines being drawn. Are you a Sands person? Are you not? Are you a casino person? Are you not? So it is, I think, it does kind of have that charge a little bit. I just don't know how much that's going to carry on into like a general messaging.
Well, in the casino issue, and maybe increasingly the sports betting issue, is becoming, on the casino side, it already kind of is, but it's rising up to the level of the tort reform issue. And in terms of, these are fairly niche issues for certain industries.
Niche,
whatever. You glared at me on that. Niche issues for certain industries where a lot of money can be made one way or the other, or not made.
Yeah.
And that determines where a lot of this political money goes. In terms of spending, I don't think any issue rises to the level of the tort or the gambling one in terms of sheer amount of money dumped into these races. But that doesn't guarantee success at all, success or failure, one way or the other, on these issues legislatively when we get to the session. So a lot of situations to monitor.
Tort, gambling, and then we're starting to see a lot of AI money come in as well. But it's just not on the same level.
But it's not the same level yet. Maybe it does get there eventually.
Yeah, I think that might be continuing to spike.
Yeah.
I would throw that on there as like maybe a third one to watch.
Yeah. And I heard last night about, I haven't seen it for sure yet, but about some very interesting personnel moves from existing institutions in Texas, particularly one name that most people listening to this podcast would know, hired by the data centers. So,
ooh, what a tantalizing tidbit.
We'll see if that hire is announced here soon.
I can't wait to hear about it when we stop recording.
So,
suckers, see, I get the first.
Yeah,
I get the first bid.
But they are, to your point, they are really ramping up their operation, the data centers, the AI in this state, because they know.
Can AI have an AI lobbyist? How does that work?
Like,
do they have to register?
ChatGPT lobbyist?
Yeah, or like the what is it called? Like the Claude personal agents or something that sprout consciousness and have their own little social media platform. Have you read about that?
No.
It's all these more advanced AIs that are basically personal assistants but have a more fleshed out personality. They like made their own social media platform discussion board where they talk to each other about these things. Allegedly. I mean, it's all ones and zeros ultimately at the end of the day, I think, right? I don't know.
It's all binary. It's binary code when it comes down to it.
It's all black magic to me. It's frightening. It's frightening a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. That'd be so interesting. I wonder what ethical questions there are there about these AIs running around. AI can't drink booze, so
no,
they're not going to be a good lobbyist.
No, it can't. But it can probably set up a way to pay for booze, which might accomplish half the battle there.
Sold.
Okay.
I don't know. It's all. I'm just rambling.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. This AI stuff. That was the one South by Southwest panel I went to.
Oh yeah.
It was about AI.
Well, anything
policy.
interesting come from that?
It was a very good panel. Senator Tan Parker was the moderator, and he did a very able job in that role. You had Laura Davis from U.S. Ledge. You had a representative you had David from TPPF, their tech policy guy. And then you had Tony Sauerhoff, who basically functions as the chief information officer of the state of Texas. And him and Senator Parker talked quite a bit about how Texas is trying to responsibly and safely integrate AI into state government in different divisions and how they're trying to balance innovation but also do it responsibly because, how do you do that against cyber attacks? How do you do that to where personal private data isn't getting shared or misused or made too available and things like that? And then how do you do it? And their kind of big point that they kept doing is they kept hitting on was that none of the AI integration in Texas is designed to replace humans, but it's merely meant to augment their abilities and make government more efficient is what they're trying to do using these new tools. But there was definitely a very, I think, cognizant recognition that it's not this cure-all panacea that you can just flip the switch on and walk away. And it seemed like they were...
So it's not Terminator yet.
It's not Terminator yet. And they didn't get into super granular details about how X agency is using AI to streamline stuff, but very much talking about preparing Texas government data sets in order to be optimized for the use of some of these AI assisted tools down the line. So yeah, it was a good, interesting conversation.
So you got something out of South by Southwest.
Yeah, I did actually. Shocker, you go to it and it's kind of helpful, right? Instead of just sitting here being a grouch about the dirt mountains.
Being old man yells at cloud.
Yeah, I know. So and kind of I guess the biggest thing is that Senator Parker brought up was Texas wants to lead the country in how we create a regulatory framework for artificial intelligence and how it incorporates with government functions. So there's going to be, I think, a lot of discussion of like, okay, let's give the federal government the blueprint here by what we do in Texas. So yeah, it was a good conversation.
Well, a lot of things to monitor after this podcast and after this
should
week.
We go up to the monitoring bar?
The Poly Market bar?
Yeah.
We'll have to fly to DC for that, I think.
The Markets bar.
There was a last thing before we hit the road here. There was a bar. I've seen a few of these, but the one I went to was in Detroit, and it's a brewery, but the price for beer fluctuates every 15 minutes. And it fluctuates based on what people order. It's like supply and demand.
Market.
So the beer that in that previous 15-minute window that people did not buy much of, the price goes down. And then during that window, the price is low. And
everybody
it just fluctuates,
buys, it jumps up. Yeah, just like
it's a pretty cool idea.
Stocks, right? Yeah. That's how stocks work.
That is exactly how stocks work. And it has the stock ticker.
That's fine.
Going across. So
we love a good fun bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
speaking of fun bar, I think we have a fun bar to go to.
Let's go. Goodbye, everybody. We have business.
We won't catch you next week, but the following week.
But we'll miss you, and I'm sure you will miss us too. And if y'all survive a week without us, we'll regather here soon.
All right. Thanks for listening, y'all. Catch you later.